Welcome to the SHT podcast. This podcast is created by superhumans, for superhumans, and anyone else who wants to look, feel, and perform like a freaking badass. Your holistic health journey starts here. Rediscover how we...
Yeah!
Paul, sit your ass down.
All right. Back for another round.
Round 3?
I think this is round
4?
3 for you. Or is it 4?
I think it's 3.
I think it's round 3.
Nope, it's 4.
Is it?
Games, carnivore, potential problems with plants.
That's right. This is number 4.
Number 4.
All right. Well, I think I can officially call you a co-host.
I think so. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Tea in the Smashly.
You need to do what we're talking about today so that you can officially be a co-host.
I love my heavy cream too much.
Yeah. Well, I thought this was a good topic to bring up since we just came out of that last progression meeting where we talked about elimination diets and self-testing. So, and I, have conversations with people on a daily basis, just trying to help nudge them along. And I just feel like, so today what we'll talk about is always going without something and how important that is.
It is something that we've said, even going through the Real Foodie Masterclass progression. This is something that you mention in there. Always trying to go without something. What's the phrase?
Well, if you feel like you can't, you have to.
Yes, that's it.
If there's something in your life that you feel like you can't go without, I feel like you have to, just so you can have some freedom from it.
Yep. So you can. Because saying you can is one thing, but doing it and then saying it is another, I think.
Well, I think, so if we had to outline the benefits of going without something, that would be one of them, right? It would be having the, what would you call that? The freedom or the...
you could call it like a security almost.
The security of knowing that you can go without this thing if you had to.
Right. Whether it be a food item that you just, peanut butter. Some people just think that they can't live without peanut butter. Or...
Alcohol.
Or other vices that you might have. And also, this is a really good first step for some people too.
Yeah.
Soda, energy drinks. If they're consuming something and they're so hooked and they just have to have it every single day, and then this could be a good place to start too.
Yeah. So no matter where you're at in this whole spectrum of trying to, figure out real food, it's maybe just always focusing on at least one thing and going without that one thing so that you know that you can do it, but then also what might be the potential benefits of going without something?
Well, like we just said, that peace of mind, essentially, kind of a security thing. You know that, if you don't have it, you'll be okay. You're not going to die. But also, you could see maybe you're going to feel different. Maybe your body doesn't like whatever it is that you're consuming. I mean, soda, energy drinks, and those types of things are not beneficial.
So there's some leverage right there. I mean, like it is very freeing to know that you can go without something that you've been habituated to, but then it just might change in such a good direction that it's it keeps you from wanting to do it again, or at least gives you a little bit of this, I like to call it leverage, but like using this tomorrow for today, like, oh my God, this feels so good. Like, why would I want to bring this back in now? Or at least I know what it feels like to have it out.
Right. Especially if it is something that you find out that your body doesn't like. When you do end up feeling better after a week or 2 weeks of break from this item, and then you do feel good, it's so much easier to say, oh, well, I guess I don't love it that much anyway, because it's not good for me. I feel better, or maybe my skin has cleared up, or... maybe I don't have headaches or...
Yeah, so knowing that you can go without it.
Yep.
And then it may make you feel better. And then you were just bringing up several little symptoms, right? So if you have some nagging symptoms that are not budging, and you feel like you're doing pretty decent or good with your nutrition, then that would be another reason to go without something, because you have specific symptoms that you're trying to resolve.
Right. That would almost be a sign. If you're on with real food, right? And wouldn't you say?
Yeah, because in this real food realm, that's the whole point of what we try to communicate through the SHT is that you have to constantly experiment to see what works for you, because within this broad general definition, like, we don't know what's best for us until we tinker with it a little bit.
And that's because we're all our own individual.
And we're all
very different.
That's right. And we're all at different points in this whole spectrum. And I believe that the stronger your system gets and your digestion, the more foods you can tolerate and open yourself up to. But a lot of us are probably undoing years and decades of damage. And maybe we'll always be sensitive to certain things. But that's the only way to really find out. Allergy tests and things like that can be interesting, but I think the most beneficial test is what we're talking about right now. So
I agree.
All right. So knowing that you can do it, seeing if you feel better, and then if you have specific symptoms that are not budging, then it's always worth going without something. So what might be the things that we would consider going without? If we had to pinpoint some things, make some recommendations for people.
We always recommend at least pulling out, like, dairy. That's a big one. A lot of people think they have a dairy intolerance.
Yep. And dairy would include what?
So heavy cream. Do we include butter?
Yeah, we would initially. Like, if you've never gone without dairy, butter.
Okay, initially you want to also eliminate butter.
Probably. Just
cheeses.
To be safe.
Heavy cream.
Heavy cream keeps coming up. You keep bringing it up.
I know, because I have not done it, and I feel like I need to.
Ever?
Well, prior to SHT and real food,
you just didn't do it that much, right?
I never drank heavy cream because I thought I was lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
Turns out I just love heavy cream.
I know, we all do. All right, so cheeses, yogurts.
Yes,
all
yogurt.
all the different creams and stuff like that.
Yep.
All right, so dairy's definitely a great place to start.
Yep. You mentioned alcohol. That's also a very great place to start as well.
Now, when I say alcohol, I mean, I feel like there's some obvious common sense here. Like, if you're drinking, like, a bottle of wine a night or something like that, like, you probably have more issues than just trying to eliminate alcohol for a little bit.
This is true.
But I'm thinking about, like, with myself, like, I love to have my drink at night, and it's just like one drink. Like, I could easily rationalize that that's not a big deal, and I'm so healthy in other ways, and and I do rationalize that. Like, for long periods of time, I'll be like, you know what, this is the only thing that I do.
Yep.
I don't notice anything from it, but you know what? I'm on 3 days of no having a drink in the evening, and man, my sleep is tremendously better.
Wow.
My sleep score for my Oura Ring is better.
Wow, after just 3 days.
Just 3 days and just one drink. Usually I just have one drink in the evening. So
it's
I'm realizing
not like you're drinking a whole bottle of wine at night,
or even a half a bottle.
Right, just one drink.
So it's amazing. To me, it's so interesting and fascinating. But anyway, yeah, alcohol would definitely be one. What else?
We've talked about nightshades before.
Definitely
certain foods,
nightshades.
Peppers, the tomatoes.
Yeah, definitely nightshades.
Yep.
All right, and then I would say, just even looking at macros in general, like, you'd probably want to go through a phase of no plant matter, if that's possible. I mean, I think that's the ultimate elimination diet.
Yep.
Or you could go through a phase of no meat for a little bit, just to see how that feels.
That's true. No eggs. We also like to pull out eggs here and there to see if...
Eggs are problematic for a lot of people.
Yep.
So maybe thinking another good place to start would be, what is something that I'm consuming every single day?
Yes.
Especially that I don't think is a problem.
Right.
Because if you're doing it every day, then that's probably one of the first things that need to go.
Okay.
So, and that could include anything.
Right. So if you're consuming something every day or most days, very frequently, and then you have some nagging symptoms, things that just, bother you, bug you, like skin issues, like we said, maybe bloating, maybe digestion issues.
Yeah, there's all kinds of different, just things that you feel like are off in some way.
Yep.
So I would also say dominant carbohydrates, so going through like a low-carb phase without starches, without fruit, without honey. That would be extremely useful. I think we all need to cycle through that here and there. A lot of us drink coffee like every single day. I haven't done that in a long time, like gone without coffee. I have, though. I have. I've gone I think I went a whole year without caffeine or something. I honestly didn't notice anything good from it.
Really?
Nope.
I love coffee.
I do too.
I would be okay, like if I weaned myself off of caffeine, if I were doing it for a caffeine purpose and I could have decaf, that's totally fine. I just love coffee. It's just tasty and delicious, and then you add in heavy cream and butter and MCT oil, and
I know.
bam.
I know. I'm right there with you. So I think that covers a lot of the main things. Really, maybe think about what is something you're consuming on a regular basis. That might be something interesting to go without. And if you're consuming it on a regular basis, that probably means you're going to have a hard time mentally and emotionally going without it, which means that now you have to go without it for a little bit.
Yes.
And then the main things that I think most people may have problems with that's worth experimenting with is going through a low-carb phase, which would mean no starches, no fruits, and no sugary stuff, a phase of no alcohol, a phase of no coffee. We're going to have to do that at some point now that I've planted the seed, like it's got to happen. Eggs, full-fat dairy, nuts and seeds.
Oh, yeah, nuts and seeds.
That includes beans, so hard-shelled nuts, seeds, legumes, nightshades, and then all meat and all plant. Those would be some really good experiments. And if you're constantly doing something like that, like you're going to be constantly learning, constantly evolving, and really constantly fine-tuning your way of eating, because you're going to learn a lot from those experiences.
Yeah, you're going to learn a lot about your own body and how it works, and just all of that is just amazing.
Yep.
I think it's necessary for sure.
Ooh, something that we need to bring up in Nevada. Cannabis. And CBD.
And CBD.
Got to go without that.
Gotta go without that.
Yep. All right, so let's summarize this into a 5-step process.
Five-step process.
I'm all about steps and processes, right?
Okay.
So number 1, maybe acknowledge things about you that you'd like to see change or improve. So symptoms, conditions, mentioned before, digestive issues, skin issues, energy levels, mental clarity, anything and everything that you could possibly imagine. Just maybe sit with yourself and just list out what are some things that are not shifting in a good direction. Body composition could be one, and list those things out. That would be really helpful.
Okay.
Right? Second step would be choose something to pull out for a minimum of 2 weeks, but we'd say a month is what's ideal, or until you notice a shift in your symptoms.
So ideally 2 to 4 weeks. But if you notice a shift, then that's also a sign right away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yep. So I brought up before arnica, right? So arnica, just really took to our way of eating really fast. Things shifted in a great direction. Body change, felt better and all this stuff. But then she was going through this phase of having like some cramping, and she really felt like it was muscle cramping. So she always thought it was like from a workout or something like that. But it was really persistent, and it was like a kind of all day dull cramping, and sometimes it would act up and stuff like that. And so of course, first thing I said is, let's just try pulling out something. What are you doing on a daily basis? So we pulled out eggs, we pulled out dairy, and she's never felt better in her life.
Wow.
And now we're at this point that we need to start bringing it back in just to see.
Just to figure out what it was.
Which one it was, so we know what to stay away from. Yeah. And then personally, I've got my little eczema on my foot. I'm still trying to figure that out. But what I have noticed is the more I stay towards the animal-based realm, the less it tends to flare up. But I'm also thinking maybe alcohol has something to do with it. So.
Well, you're about to find out.
That's right.
How long are you going without your one drink a night?
At least 5 days.
All right. So
at least to our camping trip.
At least till the weekend.
Yeah. All right. So first step, acknowledge your symptoms and things that you want to see change. Second step is choose your thing that you want to pull out. We have our recommendations. We'll list that out in our resources. But another great place to start would be something that you're always doing every day. Right?
Yes.
Look for your symptoms to improve. And then after 2 weeks, ideally 4 weeks, you would want to start to reintroduce these foods one at a time, and ideally in amounts that would guarantee trigger a symptom if that was the thing causing an issue. So let's say that you go without dairy or heavy cream for a couple of weeks, right? If you just bring it back in very, very small amounts, it might not be enough to notice anything from it. So you'd want to kind of exaggerate bringing it back in to some degree.
Amount.
Yeah. Or maybe constantly throughout the day or something like that. Or if you pull out eggs, you notice some good things change in a good direction, but then you're only bringing in one egg yolk every few days. That's not enough to really notice anything maybe. But if you're having a 5-egg omelet and almost like you want to bring it back in exaggerated amounts.
Right. Because while we're doing this, we want to be going without something. To know for all of those other reasons, but also it's experimenting. We're experimenting.
Yeah, and you want to know. Like,
right.
you don't want to suffer, but you do want to know so that you know to stay away from it.
Right.
So.
Like Arnica took out eggs and dairy, so now let's figure out what is causing the problem, so you don't have to live without both forever.
That's right.
Like
exactly.
You don't want to do that.
That's a
you
very
don't
good
have
point.
to.
Right? That's a very good point. So let's come back to that. But the fifth step would be look for your symptoms to come back. So that you know what it is, all right? Now, the ultimate goal of what we're doing is, yes, freedom, knowing you can go without it. You want to see some symptoms improve. You want to feel a little bit better. But then, you want to ultimately eat as many different things as you enjoy as possible. You want to have some fun with this over the long term.
Right.
But then that means that you have to know which things really mess with you.
Right. You have to know, okay, if I have a little bit of eggs or a little bit of dairy, I'm okay. But if I sit down and have the most dairy-filled dinner, I'm going to be in pain tomorrow.
Yep.
Or, whatever symptoms that you might have from that. Absolutely. Because then you know how to live your life the best.
And then maybe long-term, just understanding that once you figure that out, it's always worth, let's say that you figure out this one food causes your problem. Well, then that means that your customized way of eating is going to be without that thing for the most part. But then at some point you want to retest because maybe your system and digestion gets stronger. And that also means that you have the flexibility that if you're out in a social situation or you're at a potluck and you want to try something that probably isn't the best, but it's still within the SHT real food realm, then you can still do it. It's still considered helpful.
Right.
But you just know for you personally, it's not something that you're going to necessarily gravitate towards.
Right. You're not going to have it often, but you could have it here and there.
That's right.
And that, I think, is ideal. That's a freedom in and of itself, to know, what your body needs, what works best with your body, what to avoid. And then, same thing, like if there's no pressure.
That's right.
I love it.
All right. I think that was really useful. Came up a lot over the past few weeks, so I thought it was relevant to pull up. And we're only less than 20 minutes in, so I love our little mini episodes.
I think, too, I want to say real quick, because I think something that you mentioned, it's going to be mentally and emotionally challenging, and I think that is honestly the scariest part for a lot of people.
I know.
They hold on to these foods and these beverages or these one drink a night, and they're connected to it and they love it and they hold it so dear, almost as a vice. But I think, just try.
Yeah.
Just try.
No, I'm really glad you bring that up, because even for myself, I think a lot of what we're trying to do with all this health stuff, it's the perception of the change that really makes us uncomfortable. But then what you find is once you start to mess with it, it is never as big a deal as you thought it was.
Never is. And you don't know what the change is going to bring.
That's right.
So what if you do feel better, with no alcohol or with no heavy cream or with no eggs or with no whatever? What if you do feel better? So what if you like the change more than you thought you would?
Well, that's where I'm at right now. Like, I'm 2-3 days without a drink, and I'm like, my sleep is so much better. I feel so clear. And then, what was something else I was just thinking?
You said that.
Yeah. And then with, I remember, doing this animal-based thing, I knew I had to go without fruit, and I was so habituated, and I didn't have much fruit. I was seriously like a half a cup of berries with some honey.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, there's no way that I'm going to be able to do it. But once I had it set in my mind, I was like, I have to do it.
Yep.
And then as soon as I did it one night, I was like, that was not that big a deal.
Not a big deal. Yeah. You're like, I got this.
Yeah.
I think, too, getting your mind right about it, if you have to tell yourself, like, look, it's only 2 weeks, it's only 4 weeks, that's fine. But be open to the possibility of what could happen that time frame, because you don't know.
That's right.
And also, with the alcohol, you're right. I had some wine this last weekend, and I don't drink often at all, and I slept awful that night. I slept awful. Yeah. Which was sad. Yeah. Because that wine was delicious. But, I know. It happens.
Right. Yeah. All right, that's really, really good stuff.
Be open to the change, I think.
Oh, and then along those lines, when you're doing this, it helps to kind of psych yourself up and have a start date. So for me, when I do some fasting, it's like, I'm like, all right, Monday, once I pre-plan it, I'm like, Monday I'm starting. Monday I'm going for 3 days, and it's kind of in my mind. So maybe, if you feel like you're going to have a hard time with it, just plan it. Just say, this is my start date, and I'm really going to give it a good shot.
Yep. What do you have to lose?
Yeah. Except
really have nothing.
Except for some symptoms and maybe some body fat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Great things to lose, if you ask me.
All right. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Oh, all right. Next time we are committing to our transitions. All right.
You can do the transition.
All right.
I don't think I can make that sound with my mouth.
All right. So we are out. Until next time.
Thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, so remember the purpose of this podcast is to support our SHT community and to be in your ear as a go-to resource for all things SHT.
If any of you have fallen off, if you need support, honestly, just come back and listen to some of these episodes. Get re-inspired, get re-motivated, and get re-engaged. If you're new to us, the best way to get started is by joining our newsletter at sht4life.com.
That's SHT, the number 4, life.com. And you can also find us on Facebook at Superhuman Transformation, and then on Instagram, Superhuman Transformation, which you're doing an amazing job with.
Thank you.
And then also Twitter, it's SHT, the number 4, life. I think that's all we got.
See ya.